Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are joined in. Thank you for watching another episode of Watercolor Instructions. Consider liking the video, hit the subscribe button and the notification button so that you don't miss another video. So if you have already watched the first episode where I paint beautiful clouds, simple technique, wet on wet, and using a tissue to mark out the clouds. So basically we are doing is removing the shapes. So today I'm going to do the same, but I think one of the things is people are have asked is to do red sky. So it's the same thing. If you haven't watched, I'm just want to give you a 1 minute demonstration of when you think about clouds, think in terms of that one is just a spherical. If that's a light source, you're always trying to think there's a shadow. And if I want to do a kid's version of how a cloud might look, same arrow. So you're looking at the shadows, and then that's the cloud we are looking for. So you got this arrow mark. So you're looking at a little bit of shadow, maybe a little bit of shadow, 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 and that's how a cloud is going to be. So in this exercise, I don't have a photo reference, but I'm going to do something in that manner. So that's a horizon. There is something, grass, fields. Maybe this time I'm going to do a little bit of a mountain range just to give the scale. And the clouds, let's do maybe a little bit of darker clouds here. And I'm going to try to do that one, maybe a red cloud with all the glory, something like that. So let's see how it goes, but something in that style. So red clouds, blue sky, and slightly darker clouds. There is mountain, if I make it a bit darker, and maybe some fields. Okay, I'll post this picture in the video so that you know roughly what reference I'm using. In terms of materials, I've got a 300 grams Saunders rough paper, especially for painting skies. So you want to use as thick as possible. I don't have any thicker than this, but if you can, I would suggest this is the best example where you need to use as thick paper as possible, maybe 200 pounds or 450 grams or over, but I wouldn't go below this one. This is 300 grams. I'll stick with that. On my right side, I got a John Pike 20 well palette. So I've got a big surface area where I can mix my palette. I got my yellows, my browns, my reds, greens, and my blues. And then also got a couple of dark. That one is turquoise and Payne's gray. I've got a little bit of indigo I use as a neutral color, tallow green, sap green, and turquoise. I think this one, I'm getting confused with what the names are. And if you let me know if you want to know what the colors are, I'll post it. Okay. And then also for the painting, I'm going to just use some big mop brushes. If you're comfortable using a flat brush, a soft watercolor flat brush, be my guest. Also, sometimes in this exercise, I'm going to just use tissue to soften the edges, but a bristle brush is always handy. And then also I have two waters. One is usually clean to wash my paper, and the other one is to wash my brush. So this one, as I said, it's going to be slightly red. So the first thing I'm going to do is maybe add a little bit of red to the sky. So really light. So this will be the undertone for the clouds. That will be my first wash. And also, just to let you know that probably I'm gonna finish it over here, but it's easy to paint. That would be the color of the sky, sorry, the clouds. I'm gonna just do that, and just give it a minute, couple of minutes to just to dry a little bit. Okay, while it's drying, I'm gonna mix in. So the blues, this is a cerulean blue, ultramarine blue, and that's a cobalt blue. Cerulean blue is nice summer, but when there's a red sky, probably I'm going to use a little bit ultramarine blue. And then also I might use a little bit of purple. Sorry, this is violet. Maybe a little bit of purple sky, and then also a little bit of gray. So probably these 4 colors is what my painting is going to look like. Okay, I'm just waiting for it to dry a little bit. I'll see you in a second. So the paper is completely dry now. So that would be the basis for the clouds. As I said, so I'm going to do roughly the outline. That's the sky, and the red will come back and then build the cloud layer by layer. Imagine a 3D cloud. We're slowly building the cloud. It's never a one dimension, it's a 3 dimension. So just to emphasize the red cloud, I'm just using a little bit of ultramarine blue, plenty of pigments, a big mop brush. So I'm gonna do something like that. All right, so I'm gonna be fairly quick because I want to come back. I'm gonna add a little more, maybe purple, a little bit of gray, okay, and what I'm gonna do is to make sure before the edge gets too dry, I'm just using a bristle brush to soften the edge. So the last thing we want is, so that's roughly what I'm trying to do. I think I'm going to make it a little more darker. I can use a little more dark. Remember, in watercolors, the lighter you want to show a picture, the darker the background to be. If you want it to look more pop up, all you have to do is make sure the background is a little more. So a little red, why not? Don't worry about it. If it looks dark right now, after it dries, it usually loses its intensity by probably 20-30%. So that would be the second layer. So the first layer, the second layer, and then I'm gonna come back and then build one more layer, maybe that one a bit more darker, and I will finish off maybe with a mountain or something like that. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so the next thing, maybe I'm going to just use a smaller brush. So obviously it has, just to try to keep the theme, I'm going to use cerulean bread. I think it's cerulean bread, I think so. A little bit of gray and blue. It's still a little dark, but I'm going to just add a little more water. Make sure it is plenty of water. As you can see, there's lots and lots of water. So I'm going to just try here. That one is fine. I'm going to add a little more red. Okay. A little more red. Okay. And let's see. So I'm using just the side. And make sure you have plenty of tissue. And because the paper is dry, I'm going to just do section by section before there's any sharp edges. Okay, so I'm going to come in, dip in. I'm just going to go circle by circle. There's no particular shape. I'm just using an angle just to come by, and I'm just making sure the edges are not sharp. Has to be a soft edge. Come back, mixing a little more. So if we're using that as the arrow mark, the shadow line, so that one's going to be lighter, and then slowly it's going to get dark. So same thing, I'm just making sure, and also I'm trying to make sure that I overlap the sky just to get that nice feel. Okay, and I'm adding a little more blue, coming in, adding another layer. So there is no shapes, you're just trying to create. Okay, and I'm gonna add a little more blue, a little more red, and I'm gonna come and make it a little more dark. So light to dark, I'm getting in a little darker and darker. Okay, and while I'm doing, because the paper is too dry, I'm making sure I come back very quickly to take out any sharp edges. The other way to do is to have the paper a little wet, but I feel this one is slightly better control than going wet on wet. So I'm increasing the tone. I'm going a little more dark. Let's add a little more dark, and a little more dark. Just a couple of clouds here. All right, I'm gonna come back and then just check if there's anything, there's a sharp edge. I'm just gonna soften it, soften it, soften it. Okay, that's fine. So a couple more places I'm just gonna come in, make it a bit more interesting. Is maybe I just come over here, make it a little more dark. I will take a little more over here and make it a little soft here. Okay, and maybe I'll do a little more, come over here. Okay, I'll make it a little more soft. Why not? Yep. Okay, it's almost getting there. I'm making one more tone. I'm bringing in, adding in darker tones. The red, ultramarine blue, and gray, dark, dark. Keep in mind I'm just using the tissue to soften it as and when, just to reduce. Okay, and let's say add a little more. Yeah. Oh, here I don't have to soften it as much as needed because it's already a little wet. And let's not overdo it. I would just leave it there. There is a little bit of sharp edge here. Soften it. Soften it. There's a little bit of sharp edge. Okay, and this area looks too empty at the moment. So I'm just gonna add one more layer. Just a little more. You see? So just adding one more layer. And that's about it. Let's come back while it's getting dry. I'll add a little bit of background. So let's see. So we could do is a little bit of grass. Okay. And maybe if I can just take a small brush. I can't find any small brush. I don't want to get up right now. Just a suggestion that there's a few things going on. That's fine. A little bit of mountain in the background. Blends with them. So that would complete. There's one sharp edge, I'm just dabbing a little more just to get a feeling. And we could keep tweaking a little more, but also we need to know when to finish it. I would just dab a little dark here and call it a day. So thank you again for watching. Hit that like button and consider subscribing, and so that if there's any notification button, if there's a new video, make sure that you get a notification button on so that you don't miss a video. Till next time, see you soon and keep painting. Thank you. Bye.